As we've been reporting, President Trump's new 10% tariff on Chinese goods is now in effect. China has retaliated against the U.S., placing up to 15% tariffs on select American imports. Those go into effect Monday. Earlier this week, the president attempted to implement 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports. However, he agreed to pause these tariffs for the next month after the leaders from both countries vowed to boost border security. For more, let's bring in CBS News Confirmed executive editor Rhona Tarrant. So, Rhona, President Trump has made some claims about the history of tariffs and what they mean. Let's listen.
A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's a tax on us. No. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax.
Can you fact check that for us?
So this is a claim Trump made a lot on the campaign trail and since he's taken office, that essentially it's just a tax on a foreign country, nothing for us to worry about. Now, that's actually not the case. Tariffs are a fee on imported goods that are paid by the importer. So, for example, an American construction company wants to buy lumber from Canada, which has traditionally been subject to tariffs. That American construction company is going to pay that tariff when it's being imported into the States.
To the U.S.
To the U.S., exactly. So that American construction company might decide to pass on that cost to consumers, or they might not. It depends on the goods, it depends on the company, how much they pass on. Now, Trump has repeatedly said as well, this will not lead to the raising of prices for American consumers. History tells us otherwise. Typically, there is a highering of prices around tariffs. Now, let's look at one data point around Trump's last presidency, washing machines. So the price of washing machines when tariffs were imposed went up. Now, we know that did bring in more money to the U.S. Treasury, around $82 million, but cumulatively, consumer prices went up by about $1.5 billion. So it really does remain to be seen how much, if any, prices will go up.
What can you tell us about Trump's statements regarding illegal immigration from Canada and Mexico? This was obviously a big part of his domestic agenda. It's one of the main reasons he said he wanted to implement tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
So he sort of lumped Canada and Mexico in together. He said illegal immigration and illicit drugs from both Canada and Mexico, but it's really not like for like. Now, let's take immigration, for example. Over the last fiscal year on the northern border, there were around 198,000 encounters, so less than 200,000. Compare that to the southern border, that's over 2 million, so much lower at the northern border. We also know with drugs, so for example, synthetic opioids like fentanyl, 43 pounds were seized at the northern border. So 4-3 coming from Canada into the United States. That's less than 1% of the overall supply.
Wow.
From the southern border into the US, that was over 21,000 pounds. So much different. We also know the deficit is much higher with Mexico than it is with Canada. So it really isn't like for like. Exactly.
What do you mean?
The deficit, which is the amount of goods that are purchased by Americans versus purchased by Mexicans. So it is much higher with Mexico. So it really isn't like for like on, drugs, immigration, or the deficit with both countries.
Fascinating. Rhona Tarrant, thank you.
Thank you.